Thanks, Brother Jason, my fellow correspondents. Happy Monday, everybody out there. I've got a great one. I got a little bit of an echo in my ear, so if I look like I'm going crazy, I am. An Omaha attorney is facing drug charges after authorities discovered a large amount of psychedelics, heroin. I didn't see that part before, at his home on October 31st. Jonathan Lawler, 34, posted $10,000 bail November 13th on charges of manufacturing a controlled substance and possession of a controlled substance. According to Omaha police, officers learned of Lawler's alleged operation at his home near Tucker Street and Northridge Drive in the Florence area. Sounds like somebody told on him. The owner of the home, here we go, reported to officers that he was doing routine maintenance when he discovered what he believed to be a narcotics manufacturing operation and took a photo of 4 large mason jars filled with an unknown dark substance at Lawler's bedroom. What a jerk. Officers learned from the landlord that another man, later identified as Christopher Mayo, had taken the jars prior to police arriving at home and was found with them in the woods nearby. Mayo was apprehended and the jars were seized. Mayo is charged with possession of a controlled substance and tampering with physical evidence. He is currently out on bond awaiting his next hearing December 7th. He said executed a search warrant and found more than 10 pounds of dimethyltryptamine, or DMT, along with manufacturing equipment, including a heat lamp and a ventilation system. The good old DEA says DMT is used illicitly for its psychoactive effects, which are described as intense and of short duration. DMT is generally smoked or consumed in brews like ayahuasca. On October 17th, police found Lawler in the front passenger seat during a traffic stop and took him to central headquarters. Lawler admitted to manufacturing the dark-colored liquid substance that was located inside his bedroom and that he was in the process of making soap. The arrest affidavit reads, he just made DMT on accident. Police said Lawler admitted to knowing what DMT is after denying several times he'd ever heard of it and was not being forthcoming with information about how DMT is manufactured. His next hearing is November 29th, if anybody wants to put in a good word for him. Now, this is crazy because DMT is Schedule 1, which means toxic, which it's not, high potential for abuse, which it doesn't have, and extremely physically addictive, which it's not. Now, not only this, but our brains manufacture DMT, which means every single one of us is 24/7 committing a felony of carrying an illicit Schedule 1 drug in our body at all times. So if this were to be enforced, we're basically all criminals. That being said, there's a lot of amazing information on DMT. Right now, they're doing some studies I wanted to highlight in Cambridge, where they're doing intravenous DMT. They're giving people DMT right in their veins so they can control the duration and the strength. They basically have the thing that we've all been dreaming about for so many years. You have psychedelic astronauts going into the DMT space to map it out and come back with information as to if this space is physically repeatable, if these entities that everybody are seeing are the same, are communicatable with, etc. So this just goes back to we've got to reschedule all of these drugs. We've got to take a new and more sobering look at these drugs, that they are incredibly beneficial for humanity. We got to let this guy Lawler and his buddy go. That would be a great starting point. And I'd like you guys all to pile in after I say this. Matthew St. Germain on a Monday for the High at 9 News. What do you guys have to say about this?
I think this guy, man.
Bro, he's mainlining DMT?
Technically, DMT is soap for the mind.
This is
He's
not.
trying to make soap.
Is he related to like the law firm? Is it Uber and Lawler or something like that?
No, that is Tom and his brother. They are nowhere near.
No, that's not Tom Zuber. No.
Thing. All right.
I mean,
Big shout out to
I thought it was pretty interesting that Matthew was talking about how
Zuber.
our brains make DMT. So I guess that's a thought crime because it's a felony or something. I don't know.
Real.
The thing about the 10 pounds, though, is that amount really, like if a lawyer was just doing their thing on the side, that's a lot different than trapping while practicing law. And then the other thing that came up is he should have hired the Pot Brothers because he did not shut the fuck up. It says that like you're a lawyer and you still didn't. So you can't be a good lawyer if you admit on yourself during questioning. That means like maybe you should stick to the DMT manufacturing because it doesn't sound like your law game is like best of class.
Yeah. He thought he was making soap.
That was the best part. I was trying to make soap and I accidentally made 10 pounds of DMT. You know that happens, bro.
Dude,
these chemicals are crazy.
Bro, I just wonder what it's like to mainline DMT. Like,
apparently pretty awesome. First time it happened was in the 90s with Dr. Rick Strassman. And pretty much every person that did it, nearly every person that did it, had an intense spiritual experience, found a place beyond birth and death, were totally calmed down about the thought of their own mortality.
These are the 90s.
And, you know, yes, sir. When we really dig into these drugs, into these psychedelic medicines and drugs, what we find is they allow us to see a reality larger than ourselves, and how we are completely a part of that. And I think that, you know, my personal thought is, if you look up the Younger Dryas, Dryas, not dry ass, but Dryas, comet impact theory of about 10, 11,000 years ago, what it looks like is, prior to that time, we had these megalith building psychedelic civilizations that were transoceanic and had incredibly high culture, wrote all of these amazing holy books like the Rig Veda, the Vedas, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Atlantis.
Thank you. We had a giant ecological catastrophe where the millions of people were reduced to a couple thousand. There was a nuclear winter, and then there was about 1,000 years of the ice caps melting and freezing, and then and inundating civilizations that were at the coast. People lost contact with psychedelics, and that's when we fell into these sexually suppressive civilizations that were about class hierarchy and stratification, sexual suppression, arranged marriage, and about concentrating property into the hands of as few families as possible. And so I think the sooner humans as a whole contact psychedelics, we can get past the fear that entrenches us in our ego, and instead of offering, you know, everybody always offers this, oh, well, it's always been like this, it's unchangeable. What I would say is we need to do these psychedelics, to do our daily discipline. We need to be brave enough to envision a new future. Instead of saying this is the way it is and it's always going to be this way and providing some excuse why it sucks, let's envision a better future and let's work towards it with hope and optimism. And if you do acid, you can be like me.
If you do,
I don't know if that's a bad or a good thing.
I want to be like you. I want to be immortal just like you.
Oh boy, immortal. I bet.
Yeah, throw your address in the chat and we'll send you 10 hits of lysergic acid diethylamide.
I mean,
and
I want 10 pounds of DMT soap.
I
scrub my mind and my body at the same time.
I'm just wondering, you know, because like DMT, I think like they mostly source that from like tree bark, right, Matthew?
They did take a lot from the mimosa tree bark. There's also a couple of grasses, a phalaris grass that is very high DMT containing. But again, the real trippy thing is nearly every plant and every animal on the planet contains some amount of DMT.
Yes.
So it's in all of us. But yeah, normally it's from Mimosa hostilis, which is those trees you see, the acacia trees with the very thin frond-like fern leaves and the pink puffball flowers.
Mm-hmm.
And number one, if you ever are going to make DMT, like I wouldn't suggest it because it is illegal, but wherever you get the bark, which is legal delivered to, don't make the DMT there. Take it somewhere else. That's my advice for you.
Don't make it there. Like next to the tree, you're saying?
Oh, I'm saying if you like get a bunch of phalaris bark ordered off the internet, take it somewhere else because the feds will actually visit you. The feds will visit you in a couple months.
Yeah,
check in on what you were doing.
You need a Breaking Bad business model where you have some fucked up trailer that you can park out in the desert. Is what he's saying.
Yes, sir, Yarrow. There it is.
So you're saying you want a New Mexico address.
There you go.
Okay, all right.
Now, can't you get the DMT from licking toads?
No,
so
that's different.
You get 5-MeO DMT, which is a
same.
slightly different chemical,
Sucks
and
balls.
not from licking toads. But what you actually do is you squeeze the toads and the venom glands on their back. You express them onto a piece of glass. You let it dry. You scrape it, and you smoke it. But actually, folks in the psychedelic community are asking people not to harvest the toads. There's now a very easy and inexpensive way to manufacture 5-MeO DMT. Hamilton Souther, who's an amazing chemist, has published the recipe online for free. And everyone's asking that you use the synthetic 5-MeO DMT because there is a problem with the toads and the sustainability of the toads and not wanting to push the toads to extinction.
Somebody once told me to lick their toad, and I was like ready to throw down. I thought that was very, very aggressive. And I'm starting to think maybe we should go back to those arranged marriages, Matthew, because, you know, first of all, I spent my 20s making all the wrong choices with females, not toads, or toady females.
Or toady females. Or were they horny toads?
I was looking them for a trip, and some of them it was a bad trip.
Oh, I bet. I bet. I don't doubt that for a second. And on that, we're going to go to a commercial, and we're going to be right back.